The case of Bryan Kohberger being accused of being the individual who killed the four college students in Moscow, Idaho, right around Thanksgiving of 2023 continues to evolve as more and more hearings come about. Just recently, the attorneys for Bryan Kohberger asking the judge to make public their arguments that he should rethink his decision to deny their ask to toss out the charges. Not necessarily completely, hey, should we rethink this? But we want the public to see why you said we should toss out these charges. It's an interesting play. If there's something there, why not get it out there? If there's something exonerating for Bryan Kohberger. If there's not, well, then there's not. Joining me to discuss, Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author. The psychology of this thing, this is an interesting move by an attorney of, hey, what's behind door number two? We had it presented, but it's not opening. Maybe there's something really good in there that's going to be really good for Bryan Kohberger, but the judge won't let you see.
Mhm.
Is this kind of playing with someone's or with the public's mind? Is that what we're talking about here right now? Of it's the mystery. It's what you don't
Mhm.
know.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think what occurred to me, my best guess was what a way to influence a potential jury pool.
Mhm.
That there's the secret stuff that could exonerate him. And, all you need is doubt.
Yeah.
And there's been so much evidence, and we don't know all the evidence they have that the state has against him. But what we do know is pretty damning.
Mhm.
And I would think that in trying to combat that public perception, this would be a pretty smart way to do it.
When we're talking about jury pools today, and battling something in court, is it different than how things had been handled, a handful of years ago, 10, 20 years ago, because of the way that we all communicate, the way that we absorb information, is so vastly different, and the amount of information that we absorb as well. It's not just necessarily arguing this in court, in the courtroom while the trial is going on. It seems that a lot of these defenses are being mounted right away in the very public venues, even when you have gag orders going on, because of that possibility of influencing a jury pool. Someone who gets onto a jury doesn't necessarily have to have zero knowledge of the case. Many
Right,
cases, especially something like this, it'd be nearly impossible to have zero knowledge of
right.
the case. I'd be kind of scared if someone's going onto that jury pool and having zero knowledge of this case
I
existing.
wouldn't believe
I
them.
wouldn't want that. I mean, it's like if
Yeah.
you're that far into the sand, you probably are not making good judgments in any part of your life. But
Mhm.
when it comes to this, how much of these cases are really decided, or a good percentage of the weight that people are going to be giving on that guilty, not guilty verdict happening before they're even selected for jury duty?
Yeah, I think it's a concern, but it is the world we live in
Hmm.
where everybody, from politicians and discretions, things that we never would have heard of before, somebody gets caught, it is all over the internet immediately. And so we're all hyper aware of
Hmm.
these kinds of cases. And of course, these horrific kinds of shocking cases grab people's attention all the more.
Hmm.
So there's no way for people not to have, to some degree, some some kind of prejudice one way or the other about it. But I don't know how to get around that
Yeah.
because it's just the world we live in now.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the next question I had is, because it's always argued we don't want to influence the jury pool. That's where, we still do this today, but I don't know how effective it truly is. Where it's like we're going to physically move the trial down the road a little
Right,
ways, like physically,
right.
like that. Does that even matter anymore? I mean, I guess a little, but does it hold the weight or the difference that it would have years ago, where you know only people in this town knew about this case?
Right, right. Yeah, I don't think it holds much weight anymore because it's a world community.
Hmm.
We know about things that happen in other countries,
Yeah.
these shocking stories. And what can we say that the internet has been a gift in so many ways, and people are so much able to access so much wonderful information along with not so wonderful
Hmm.
information. But people can know everything the day it happens.
Mhm.
And this is a factor sometimes in certain kinds of crimes, particularly in the mass shooters,
Mhm.
school shooters, et cetera. They're heavily influenced
Yeah.
by watching other shooters. And they're influenced in all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
That you take an angry kid with a lot of psychological problems and some psychopathy going, and then it becomes a competition because they've seen all these other kids on the internet doing it. And it's like, well, I can kill more than that one. As bizarre as that sounds, that's the dynamic that happens. So the world has changed. We
Mhm.
have changed. The internet changes the way we look at things, the way we process information. And I don't think moving the venue to another town is going to make all that difference.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks